All right, everyone, welcome to. I'm Jack Mangan. This is Slam or Support Life in Music. We are really honored today to have. Well, I'm honored to have my lovely co-host Erika Schautz from New Jersey, the East Coast, Florida, wherever she is. She's all over the place. She's a heavy metal and music expert, and it's my honor and privilege to have her here with me. So thanks, Erika, for joining me today. How are you?
Thanks for having me, as always.
Yeah, of course. And then, well, I'm going to start us off with something called, this is a little bit different. By the way, let me just do one quick bit of housekeeping. This is not the end of Metal Asylum or Rich Catino or anything. Rich Catino is a god amongst men. He's an awesome guy. He and I are best buds. Metal Asylum is going to continue. This Slam is something different. Slam has a different agenda. So you might see my ugly mug in both places. But we're going to start with something we're kind of calling flattery will get you everywhere. I'm going to say lots of nice things about our guest and then let him talk. And then nothing else, Mark. That's it. I'm going to cut you off on compliments after this. We're going to say a bunch of nice things first. So this is one of the signature powerhouse voices in the music world. What an incredible, just a voice that will blow you away. You've heard him with Metal Church, Ross the Boss, Metal Mike, and other projects. I definitely want to get into. He does some things on the mic that I can't even imagine. And in fact, I won't read the whole thing, but before I'd ever met Mark, before I even really knew who he was, I'd heard him with Ross the Boss as my intro. And I'll read a snippet of my review was saying that much of what makes the Born of Fire album so effective must be attributed to Marc Lopes on the microphone. Spits all the venom and attitude to match the music and sometimes even surpasses the guitars. So I said more nice things, but anyway, the last compliment, Mark, and then you're cut off. Is you do meet a lot of crappy people in the music world, well, in the world, but also in the music world. And you meet some genuine people, and Mark is absolutely the real deal. So again, Mark, I'm going to shut up now. I've talked way too much. Thank you for joining us, Mark.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Sorry about the mix-up before. I got a little spaced out. Like, oh yeah, I got to do it.
Oh, all good, man. It's an honor to have you on here. So yeah. Well, I mean, before we get into the really serious stuff, this is going to be a very serious and heavy conversation, by the way. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's going to be a fun conversation. But
can go either way. It doesn't matter.
But I know you have some exciting stuff coming up in 2025. So I know you mentioned one project to me when we talked in person. So we'll talk to us about some of the exciting stuff people can look forward to from Marc Lopes in 2025.
All right. Well, first up, we have we're doing the Ross the Boss tour. Basically, it's like a 40th anniversary of Sign of the Hammer. So we're gonna play the whole record in its entirety, which is cool because there's like 3 tunes on there that we have never played as Ross the Boss, and I'm psyched about that. It's always makes it more interesting to do new stuff. And so we're doing that, and we're constantly, they've been adding shows. Like we're doing Australia, but they just added New Zealand. The tour starts April 4th in Denmark at a big festival with Crimson Glory, which is awesome because I'm old school Crimson Glory fan. So it'll be really cool. And my buddy's their manager now, so that's wild. Small world. So that'll be fun. And then we go to Turkey for 3 dates, which is wild. I played there once in Istanbul, and that was wild. Talk about culture shock. It's definitely wild. But the fans are awesome, and that'll be fun. Then, so I'll be doing that till the end of the year so far. Thursday, I'm doing a jam with Jamie Jasta down in Connecticut. I'm doing like 5 tunes, a couple of Metal Church tunes, Man War tunes, and some other stuff. That's gonna be fun. And then New Let Us Pray will finally be coming out within the next 6 months. Finally, I keep getting sidetracked, and it's funny. Every time I go to work on the Let Us Pray vocals, because that's the part for me, that's the part that takes the longest, only because Let Us Pray, I do everything. So I arrange it, I rewrite it, I do all the all the programming, all the drum arrangements and everything. So by the time I get to the part where it's like, oh, I got to do the vocals, I'm like, you kind of have to pull yourself away from it sometimes. But I think the thing is because it's mine, like I have such high expectations for it that when I put something down, I'm like, that's not good enough. And that's my worst enemy. They always say that you have to let it go. It's always the first note. Once the first note's done, and then it's off to the races. But that first line of the first tune you need to record is always the hardest. Whereas, like when I was doing Metal Church record and the Rasta Boss stuff, a lot of that stuff was done in crunch time, and what made it easier is that you have a certain perimeter to work with. So it's a little bit easier to, okay, well, I know, I have like, this handful of things to work with, and I can only stay like here. And so it kind of gives you have a better idea of where you need to go with it. When we Let Us Pray, there's no limits. So it's kind of like, well, what do I feel like doing here today? Like they say, it's like going to a restaurant where the menu's too big and you don't know what to pick, right? Instead, when you get to go to the fancy, $200 plate restaurant and you have 3 things to pick from, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would compare it. I sometimes I try to put myself in that 3 option menu so I won't go too crazy off the outside, But it's such a creative process that I find it interesting that because I've been sitting on these songs for so long, we have so many songs. That's the other problem. We literally have like over 60 songs to release. It's insane. I mean, I could never write another song for the rest of my life and be fine. But that doesn't work like that, man. Because I'll be like, oh, I like this new one better. And I have ADHD massively. So it's always like, look at the squirrel. He's over there. And that's me. And it's the same thing with the music. And it gets annoying because I just get one damn song done already. So I'm forcing myself to get it done. It has to get done. That's all there is to it, So.
Excellent. Well,
it'll probably suck, but I'll get the next one. Will be good after that.
Looking forward to it for sure, though. So Blabbermouth, if you're paying attention, Marc Lopes just said that his new album is going to be like the Cheesecake Factory, just too much stuff.
Exactly. Yes. Yep. It's going to be all full of nursery rhymes.
There you go. No, that is actually, I wasn't aware that that was in the pipeline, so that is really exciting. That's definitely looking forward to that, for sure. All right,
that stuff's going to throw everybody for a loop, man. It's definitely nothing you've ever heard before. It's a weird combination of stuff, and I'm super pumped about it because that's why it's taken so long, because it might go over a lot of people's heads. It probably will. Like the first record went over everybody's head, a lot of people's head. I won't say everybody, but a lot of people's. And it got nicknamed the ADHD metal, and that's exactly what it is. I said, if you ever wanted the musical interpretation of my brain and what goes on during the day, there it is. Right? So it's all over the place. So nice. I don't think that's going to change very much. So go ahead. I had to finish that.
Yeah, no, please do. Yeah, don't let me cut you off. But all right, well, Erika, I don't know. What did you want to? I know you had some questions you wanted to bring to the table here. What questions? Yeah, do you have anything you want?
I just want to know what happened to your pizza, Mark. I used to follow you all the time for your pizza.
Your pizza. Oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. How about pizza? Yeah. It's been a while. I've been doing a little bit more. I haven't really made a lot of pizza. It's been weird.
I know. I noticed. Yeah, that's why.
yeah, very strange. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It goes through phases, I don't know.
When I think of you, I think of heavy metal and I think of pizza.
No, that's good.
For pizza.
That doesn't exactly. That doesn't change. Oh, it doesn't change. Yeah, so I had pizza last night. There you go.
Does it you make your own pizza then, Mark? Does that work?
I do that. Yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I haven't been making it all that much. Well, the last year or so, it's been a challenge. So I'm not been much in a pizza making mood, you know. So that's probably why. But I buy the pizza, but I haven't made it.
Well, yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Well, also East Coast pizza. You know, I'm out west, and it's okay out here, but I definitely miss New Jersey, New York pizza.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple of places out west that they're cool. You know, I'm put it this way. I mean, I love pizza, but I am not by any means like a super pizza snob when it comes to that, especially like over here. Some of the, you know, we have our fun rivalries, especially the whole pineapple thing, which I think is hysterical. I don't even know how that happens, but and of course I'm always like, you can't put pineapple on pizza unless it's grilled. They're like, what? No, unless it's grilled and it real cut from the pineapple grill with a little bit of honey on it. Oh man, I'm gonna put that with bacon. Oh man, I'm out.
Listen, don't let Blabbermouth get that one either. Marc Lopes, like, I know pineapple on pizza.
No, that's not what I said. I don't mind it. It's gonna be grilled.
Yes.
See, there you go.
Marc Lopes hates you if you don't like the right kind of pineapple on your pizza. Yeah,
there it is. There it is.
Oh yeah, I'm in the no pineapple camp in my house, but you know I'm outvoted. So what am I gonna do?
Hey, whatever. I'm not gonna turn it down. If I'm told it was, you know.
Right. It's like pizza, and yeah, there's no such thing as bad pizza. Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. That is not true. I used to think that too until I went to Europe.
Okay.
Sorry. There's some places that we've had pizza where I'm like, what is this? I was like, wow, it's like a cardboard with a fucking tomato sauce on it. Whoa. I'm like, but I'm hungry. I'll eat it.
Life on the road, right?
Yep.
So, all right, I'm going to ask one more thing before we get into the music, you know, the advice for musicians thing. So, you know, you do this kind of thing with your voice. So like I said, when I was doing all your compliments at the beginning, you do this kind of thing where you transition into this kind of a screech or a scream. You do this thing, which again, I know there are other guys who do this kind of thing and guys and girls who do this, but you know, you do have definitely a unique way. Now, how did that come about in your voice? I mean, am I talking crazy here, you know, or you know what I mean? And
no, I know it. I know you. Well, let's see. Interesting story. Yeah. And that came about when I auditioned for Vicious Rumors right when Carl passed away. So after the Word of Mouth album. And Carl Albert was one of my all-time favorite singers at the time. And I never really sang heavy stuff before. And that's what kind of leaned me into it. And the raspy thing. And then it just gradually kind of turned. I love super heavy music. Like, that's my favorite. But I never, when my younger days, my voice was very more high pitched, and I had a young voice for my age, and then I finally grew up. And then about that, but you know, so kind of, honestly, it's just something I developed because that's what I was hearing in my head. I guess it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, I still have a vocal coach to this day, and yeah, it's weird. Sometimes I feel like the more you know, you pay too much attention to it, which I find I don't like that because I don't want to think about stuff. I just want to play. But obviously, there's things that you want to make sure that you're doing right. You don't want to hurt yourself. And that's also kind of a thing that you have to develop on your own, trial and error, just like anything else, right? What might be a technique that works for me might not work for somebody else. And that's where it gets, you know, weird. I mean, just like some of these great guitar players, I always think of like Marty Freeman, how he picks very odd, right? He picks like underneath and traditionally, that's wrong. Yeah, okay, Marty Freeman doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? So it's kind of, it's, there's so many great singers out there that do everything by the book, and it's immaculate. It's amazing. It's admirable. I'm definitely not that guy. I don't even know what the book is, you know? And, but I guess that's why I have my own sound. And I used to think it was a curse, but I'm proud of it now. You know, I'm glad that I never had to pretend to be somebody else, and I only know how to be myself. And love or hate it, it's not going to change. So, you know, I definitely, between Ross the Boss and Metal Church, have my many haters, you know, and that's okay. It kind of like fuel for the fire. I don't let it. I mean, obviously, no one ever wants to be talked about negative, especially when you work so hard on something. And that's why it's kind of interesting. We live in that age where everybody's a fucking critic. You know, they're all fucking couch quarterbacks, I sort of say, you know. And I never got into it. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be things that we like or dislike. And, you know, among friends, sometimes we'll be like, that shit sucks or whatever. But that's among friends. I would never publicly. Why? I don't feel the need. Why does anybody waste their energy on negative stuff? I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen, I'm like, how much effort did you just put into that? That's fucked up, man. I'm like,
Meanwhile,
what's that?
It's from a guy who's never even picked up an instrument or microphone, like who knows the shit, right?
Yeah. And again, like and the thing is I'll never disrespect. I'm never going to disrespect a fan of music or whatever, even if they don't play. That's a whole different, you know, book. But, you know, I think the thing that always blows my mind is how much time and effort goes into some of that stuff. And I'm like, wow, I can't even imagine fathoming wasting that precious time, because you can't get it back on something so fucking ridiculous, you know? And it's like, wow, okay, cool. And then I find it amusing. Now I find it amusing because it's like some of the stuff I've seen, like this last time, like, oh, well, you haven't heard from the band in over a year, you know, why don't you pick up the phone? Really? Oh, like I didn't fucking think of that. What the fuck, dude? I'm
Thanks
like,
for the advice.
You really fucking wrote that down? I'm like, wow. No wonder the world's fucked up. Just a simple example of it, but yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so of course, he has ADHD. There you go. Yeah. So basically, it's just a combination of a lot of things. How that came to. It was a natural process for me. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. I'm doing this thing like right now. I'm doing I can't say exactly what it is, but I'm doing a cover of a yacht rock song.
Ooh.
Oh, Erika's just perked up in her chair.
And it's with like a lot of really cool, well-known players. It's a whole compilation record of different tunes. And it's really, I really had a lot of fun with it. Cause I mean, talk about out of my wheelbox. I was like, I took it because I thought it was so, what the hell? This is crazy. Why didn't anybody think of this before? You know,
like yacht rock's making a comeback, and now to press metal. Yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing is I'll be the first one to admit some of that stuff's great, like Air Supply, all that cool. I love that shit. You know what I mean? It's like whatever, man. But so that's been fun because that was not my style, and obviously we were joking about it. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna do it like, you know, like, no, that's not gonna work. You know, we were goofing around about that, but yeah. So I like the challenge of doing something like that. The challenge was, there was a couple of parts in the song. I can't get into it, but there was a couple of parts in the original, and I'm like, I'm not doing that, man. I'm not doing that. I can't do that. And I'm like, I'm going to come up with an alternative idea. And that's probably what took me the longest. I was like, I got to come up with something that's mine, but still fits with the song. But it still kind of has this dark vibe to it because it's my thing. But this song's not really dark, but maybe it could be a little bit darker, you know. So I have fun doing that, and working my voice with that has been a lot of fun. And you know, doing all the King Diamond covers and the saxophone, all the stuff that I get to do. I have a lot of fun doing that. Like more now, I find that I really like to do that, recording these cool covers and stuff with friends. And because sometimes I get them and I'm like, I don't even know if I could do this because I've never tried it before, you know. And here I am going, yeah, I'll do it. I have no clue. I'm like, I'll figure it out. You know. So
when can we expect hearing that yacht rock, Mark?
Yeah,
I think in the fall, I think it'll be done.
God, I gotta wait.
I just finished up all my vocals for the song that I did, and it's got like, you know, 40 tracks of harmonies and ooh, really funny. And so I made, like, you know, it's got all these woo parts, and I made them sound like King Diamond instead. I was like, I'm not singing it like that. That's ridiculous.
Now I can't wait.
Yeah, I
now
know.
I can't wait. Is it October yet?
I know. Metal and yacht rock together. It's got to be called like Behind the Christopher Cross or something, or Deny the Christopher Cross, something like that.
Denied by Christopher Cross.
The sign of the Southern Christopher Cross. I don't know. I could go on and on. Christopher Cross purposes.
That's great.
Right.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. All right. All right. No, that sounds amazing. Yeah. Whatever I can do to help promote, man. My tiny little promotional powers, I'll definitely help.
I get some. I just got word on a couple of other things that are super, super high profile, awesome, that I'm going to be part of. I can't say what it is yet, but it'll be soon when they announce it. And that I can't. Getting asked to do it was like childhood dream thing. I definitely have very fortunate and grateful to have lived a metalhead's dream. That's all I can say. Yeah. Yep.
What a tease.
Well, I mean, you have to. I grew up with all these bands that I get to play with and hang out with and do stuff with. It's weird. You know, I'll be like, oh, there they are. I was on my wall, you know, and I'm like, I'm sharing the stage, you know, with KK Downing, and, you know, he emails me and why? That's weird for me. You know?
Okay.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah. What's up? You know, what?
Awesome.
Totally
But
wild.
awesome.
It's a trip.
Yeah. What was that, Erika?
No, I was just like, he's like, hey Mark, it's KK. Just kind of see what you're doing today.
Nah, no, not quite like that, but
don't ruin my dream for you, okay?
Yeah. So yeah, just go and say what's up. Yeah. Well, I am gonna bend us in this direction a little. So I mean, yeah, I've talked about a lot of these things where you're living dreams. That is a lot of what this is all about. I mean, music is just such a huge part of how we all grow up, and like I said, it's awesome that you live these dreams and you travel, go to these cool places. But now I know the music life has also got a lot of dangers and pitfalls and frustrations, uncertainty, where you're like, I don't know what's happening. So what are your coping mechanisms? How do you kind of survive this stuff? What do you do that works for you to kind of get through the shit times, the bad times in being in the music industry?
Well, let's see. So I've been playing my whole life. You know, I started when I was a teen. The thing that kind of worked out for me was, you know, I had a serious drinking problems, and that pretty much consumed. That's the reason. That was what held me back for a long time. But that was my coping mechanism at the time too. And then I got massive depression, and then found out that I had slight dyslexia. I was like a fucking mess. I'm like, geez, somebody wired me wrong, you know? And then I started to learn more about, you know, self, and self-responsibilities, taking accountability for your own actions within yourself, not more, kind of ties in with the outside world too, but more so, if you can sit in a room and look in a mirror and can you, are you okay with what you see? It sounds a little cliche, but it's true. So right before I got my first break with Ross, I had just quit drinking. And it was interesting because I went cold turkey. I decided myself. I remember I woke up in my bed and I was like, how did I get here? That at that time, for some reason, it really freaked me out. And I was getting older, and like real consequences started to actually register, and I was like, I can't do this no more. And I had tried to do it before, and I'll go in. I was always the life of the party, and I just want to have fun and drink and hang out and do whatever the normal stuff. Which is, hey, look, nothing wrong with that. Everybody, I'm definitely not condemning anybody because I've done it more than most people ever would. So I just decided to stop, and I went on a journey up the coast of Maine for 3 weeks. And then I was starting, I didn't know that you could get withdrawals when you stop drinking. I had no idea. And that was pretty fucking brutal. And then I almost killed myself. I was going to drive, I had planned to drive off. It's going to sound fucked up, but it's the truth. I was going to launch myself off this mountain cliff thing because I had always dreamed that I was going to die that way. So I said, fuck it, let's fulfill that dream since I can't fulfill any others. And because all I ever wanted to do was play, and I couldn't, nothing was clicking. I tried and tried and tried every band, every possible thing. It just, nothing was working. I was always just playing covers, and I was, I got to the point where I couldn't even play a show without drinking because I didn't want to be there. It wasn't fun anymore. I didn't have a purpose, so to say. Well, as you can tell, I didn't successfully do that. Thank goodness. Something, divine intervention or whatever it is, but it stopped me just in time, which woke me up because I could never believe that I was that close to doing that. And that changed everything. I came back home, and I just had a different outlook at life. I just decided to go with the flow, so to say, and take chances, sensible chances with opportunities, because opportunities are there all the time. You have to be prepared for them. And that was always a thing, even through all the craziness. My objective was to be ready for anything at any time, like an athlete or whatever. It's like always rehearsed and just ready to go. There's somebody, because the opportunity could come and you have to be right on the spot, right? And that was what I took a chance. Real short here, but how it all started is I went to go see Death Angel at, in Albany, the Chance in New York. I forget where that area is, but the Chance. And we got, I kind of knew loosely knew a couple of the guys from Death Angel, and a friend of mine knew them really well. And we're like, oh, let's go. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool, So, and I was just trying to, I'd do different things. So I went to the show, and we were hanging out, and like I partied many times with Death Angel, and they couldn't believe that I wasn't drinking anymore. They're like, dude, that's just so weird, because the last time I had seen him, I like, we caused mayhem, but and by taking that chance, I met somebody that was associated with Ross, and I ended up filling in for this dude's band that was opening for Ross, and I agreed to it because I had never seen Ross with Manowar, and I was like, oh, this will be great. I get to see Ross play Manowar songs, and that's going to be really fun. Why not? Let's go do it. And plus, I got to do like you know, with the other band, I got to do like Queensryche and Accept and all the fun stuff. So it was cool, you know. Well, and that's what led up to me ended up, you know, overnight pretty much being playing covers and then going, hey, we're going to Mexico in 2 weeks for a full tour. And then you ready? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I didn't even have my passport. I didn't know any of the songs. I said I did. I faked it till I made it, and it's the truth. I made sure I got that passport as fast as I possibly could. At the time, it was a little easier to get them quicker. And as far as the material went, I crammed it best I could. You know, I had to read off a prompter because I didn't know any of the words. It was that quick. It was a disastrous beginning because of that, you know. And I almost didn't make it through that because it was just, I was so thrown into the fire. I didn't know what, I never toured. You know, I've never been out of the country playing for anybody. You know, Manowar fans are hardcore, you know, like me being a Maiden fan, we're hardcore. And I get it. That's why I could never say anything about it because I'm one of those guys, you know. And that was brutal, but being on the receiving end, hey, look, I'd be the first one. I was fucking hacking my way through it. I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. And bless Ross's soul, he was like, nah, I'm sticking behind you, man. I know you can do it. And he stuck there. And, you know, I finally caught it.